Everybody who knows me knows I enjoy a nice glass of wine. And now I have this game-changing product that I use before a night out with friends, getting a few drinks. Especially now that I'm in my 30s, I do not bounce back the same as I used to. And now I make the choice to be proactive after I'm enjoying a glass of wine or two with pre-alcohol. Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is this byproduct and it getting built up, not dehydration, that is to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you will feel your best tomorrow. This is a staple for us here at the Majority Report. When we have some of our late night streams, Sam and I, we pop that pre-alcohol and we drink responsibly and notice a difference the next day, especially because we have to come and do our regular show for the most part, when we're covering elections and things like that. So even after a night out, I can confidently plan on doing the show without worry. And I was a bit on the fence about it initially, but then when, Sam kind of sold me on it and when we hang out and have drinks at the office with these streams, I was sold. It's the real deal. So I guess it was a few years ago when I gave pre-alcohol a try for the first time, and I drank it before my Sauvignon Blanc, and I was at the top of my game the very next morning. From the fairways in Augusta to the first pitch of baseball season and the start of festival circuits, April is a sprint of outdoor celebrations. Don't let a rough next day keep you on the sidelines. Drink pre-alcohol to stay ahead of the game and make the most of every sunny Saturday. Go to zbiotics.com/majority to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use majority at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/majority and use code MAJORITY at checkout for 15% off. Link down below in the video and episode descriptions and at majority.fm. And now, time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. My name is Emma Vigeland, in for Sam Seder, and this is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Austin Kocher will be back with us to discuss the rising death toll in ICE detention facilities. And later in the show, Daniel Boguslaw joins us again to talk about the Congressional Black Caucus backing anti-activists' spy powers. Also on the program, mediators move closer to an extension of the ceasefire in Iran before it expires next week, but Trump is also sending 6,000 additional troops to the Middle East. Israel keeps bombing Lebanon to undercut negotiations. One day after Rubio hosted talks between Lebanon and Israel, which Hezbollah deemed illegitimate. Tonight, the Senate will consider Bernie Sanders' legislation that would block $450 million in bombs and bulldozers to Israel. The U.S. illegally bombed another boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 4. We have now killed over 170 people that the White House claims without evidence are drug smuggling. Is this good? U.S. wholesale prices surged by 4% last month due to the Iran war, the largest year-over-year gain in more than 3 years. Mortgage rates have climbed since the Strait of Hormuz closure, and home sales hit a 9-month low. Just more bad indicators about what is happening in the economy right now. 50 House Democrats joined legislation that would begin the process of invoking the 25th Amendment for Donald Trump. Should be 100% of the Democrats in the House, but here's where we are. Hochul begins to buckle on taxing the rich, agreeing to tax second homes from wealthy out-of-staters.
Easy money.
Yep. Russ Vought will appear before the House Budget Committee today to defend Trump's $1.5 trillion Pentagon slush fund budget request. You know, to limit the size of the federal government. Wasn't that his whole thing? Another accuser says Eric Swalwell drugged her and raped her in 2018. ICE deported over 440,000 people in 2025, up from 171,000 in 2024. And lastly, Tennessee's General Assembly passes the Charlie Kirk Act, which would force colleges to suspend or expel students for free speech. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Hump Day, and yes, I am hosting today. Sam is out, but he will be back with us tomorrow and Friday. Don't worry, everybody. Sam will be back. We're just mixing up the schedules a little bit this week. Hello, Matt. Hello, Brian. Hello, lovely audience, as always. Great to see you. Yesterday, Turning Point USA held an event at the University of Georgia. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, the big draw, the star guest.
Well, he was a fill-in.
Yeah, Erica Kirk was their first choice. She was supposed to appear alongside him, but she says that she received death threats. We'll get to that in a second.
Send in the second in line to the presidency in case it's unsafe there.
This is here some footage of this barnstorming event at University of Georgia.
This is from Jake Traylor.
A little bit. It doesn't bother me when he speaks on issues today. Frankly, even when I disagree with how he's applying particular principles. So the most obvious example is.
So
rehearsal?
Yeah. No, not rehearsal. That was in the middle of the event. They could have hosted that in they don't even need to rent out the Marriott ballroom. They could have hosted that in
at the 40 Watt, which is like a rock club in downtown Athens.
Right.
Brian flexing his Athens knowledge.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty famous.
They could have hosted that in the basement of a church. But not a Catholic church, obviously, because I'm not sure if J.D. Vance can enter a Catholic church right now without bursting into flames.
Schismatics aren't welcome.
So just a general kind of look at the enthusiasm or lack thereof right now with the Trump administration. You know, the campaign that in 2024 said that they were going to start no new wars and that they were going to fix the economy. And Trump tried to take Greenland, tried to take the Panama Canal, captured Maduro, kidnapped him from Venezuela, and then started war and has been bombing illegally drug boats, or boats they claim are drug boats without evidence, off the coast of the United States, and has now started the war that every previous president was able to understand would be a disaster. Trump was high on his own supply and started that war, and in part is tanking the economy because of the price increases from his own war. So that was the campaign promise that J.D. Vance and Trump ran on. And you can imagine that some of the core supporters aren't that happy about that kind of thing, may not be excited to show up for J.D. Vance's event. Just a quick aside before we get to what he said. Candace Owens pointed out on Twitter in her never-ending feud with Erica Kirk that perhaps Miss Erica Kirk's claims that it was a security problem.
I was so looking forward to tonight's event at the University of Georgia. I already don't believe you. With our Vice President, J.D. Vance. But after all our family has been through, I take my security team's recommendations extremely seriously. Thank you to our amazing Georgia chapter for your support. What were they guarding your feelings?
Candace says, stop. This is exhausting. You pulled out because of bad ticket sales. For the same
sales, they were free.
It's exactly right. They were free too, subsidized by some billionaire. You couldn't pay people to come to this. Maybe you could, but that would have meant that the arena was 10% filled instead of 5%. Right. Candace Owens says,
not selling all that merch for, to give it back to these hogs.
You pulled out because of bad ticket sales. For the same reason TP Faith had to reschedule the Pastor Summit and various other events quietly. People don't believe you and don't line up for you because you struggle to tell the truth. This stupid feud is very funny to me. But what's more interesting and exciting is the lack of enthusiasm. And
this is all horrible for them.
One of the 10 people that showed up to hear J.D. Vance speak was a righteous heckler who decided to call him out about the administration's complicity in the genocide in Gaza, amongst other war crimes and atrocities. Here's part one of J.D. Vance's exchange with this heckler at this event.
I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. On the other hand, how can you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated?
Yeah, the godless communists were on the right side of that, by the way.
Right, and I just a little bit of logic here. Just because maybe it was good to fight the Nazis after they had started the war, that doesn't mean every war of choice is good.
No, the Nazis were committing genocide, and that's why fighting them was just. You know who's committing genocide right now? You and Israel. So the invocation of World War II and the Holocaust is Holocaust denial. It denies the power dynamics at play. It denies the industrial scale of the genocide that is comparable to the industrial scale of Israel's genocide here. When you use the Holocaust and the Shoah in such a cynical manner, you engage in a form of denialism that, one, enables anti-Semitism, but two, enables the continuation of the genocide that you are complicit in. So I love this completely smarmy loser lecturing the Pope when he converted to Catholicism, in 2018?
2 days ago for Peter Thiel.
2019?
Yeah,
so he could be an Opus Dei or whatever he's probably associated with his little cult crap, lecturing the goddamn Pope about what Jesus Christ thinks. Just get a grip. Anyway.
Yeah, also, referencing World War II is a subtle admission that Vietnam wasn't a righteous war.
Yeah.
Side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated Holocaust camps and liberated those innocent people from, those who had survived the Holocaust? I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, he certainly does not. I think that's pretty easy.
Because
I think
it's not real.
A pretty easy principle.
Brian, come on.
Okay, so here's a guy. Let me just say this. This is a guy. No.
Okay, we can pause it there because the crowd starts booing. JD Vance continues to lecture him on the godliness of certain wars because
and what he accepts the Pope will do.
Yeah, I'm shocked that this is the administration's posture. Pete Hegseth has a Crusades tattoo and was caught chanting "Kill all Muslims" at a bar. So they view this as a holy war, as we talk about how it's really the Iranian regime and all of their kind of religious fervor that's making them so irrational. Here, let's double tap a girls' school and commit countless atrocities. Now, this continued for a little bit, and the heckler came back for more, which I could not appreciate more.
So if you want, sir, to complain about what happened in Gaza, why don't you complain about Joe Biden in the last administration? We're the administration that solved that problem.
Oh, you solved it.
Sorry, this is actually a really important point.
Yes.
And this is reported that the reason that the ceasefire happened when it did was so both the Democrats and the Republicans could claim credit for it. And flacks like JD Vance and his counterparts in the Democratic Party have said this was actually Joe Biden that did it, or actually Trump actually did it. Israel did that to give both of these sides a bone to chew on.
100%. We know this from how Netanyahu was meeting with Trump periodically prior to the 2024 election. Do you not think that he understood that Biden was so weak and captured ideologically by Zionism that he could elongate this as long as possible to hurt the part of the one party in this country that has a constituency that's actually activated on the anti-war left for anti-genocide purposes, that he could hurt that political party, get Trump in power, and give him this win of the ceasefire, which, by the way, Israel has violated almost every single day since it was agreed to in the fall? You don't think that that was a part of the political calculation so he could sit up there and cynically, smugly say, we ended this? They're literally selling off the real estate with the bodies of hundreds of thousands of people unaccounted for under rubble, babies crushed, to Trump's son-in-law. And Israel is ethnically cleansing Lebanon right now.
And the Iran thing, this is all part of the same issue, which is the construction of greater Israel.
Yeah.
The Gaza stuff and everything we're seeing with Iran. And JD Vance's administration just helped them chew off the bigger part, which was Iran. Because if it wasn't for us going to war with Iran right now, Israel wouldn't be so free to go at Lebanon.
Let's keep going.
And by the way, not only was our administration like the administration that solved the problem, but the president.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir. Right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years.
That's a lie.
Because we have taken that situation seriously. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of about our administration is whether it's there or Thailand and Cambodia, we have consistently tried as much as we can to solve these problems, not just complain about them like the guy who just ran away angry.
Oh, yeah, just complaining, the guy who just ran away. All right, you're the vice president, but go on Theo Von and clutch your pearls a little bit more when he tries to like tepidly ask you about that genocide that you're in favor of, or that you're supporting actively. So smug, it's unbelievable.
I mean, he's a genocide denier. The thing saying Jesus, I think Jesus would be against genocide. You are going to hell by your, understanding.
Yes, you are killing children, JD Vance, as that brave person said in the crowd. And he's lying about the aid. We just had Dr. Tarek Loubani on for a very difficult interview that people should still check out if they can. I know we've clipped it recently, and I'd love for people to share it. But Loubani had said to us that the only aid that had been, or medical supplies that had come in, was around 6 weeks ago because somebody was able to bribe the son of an Israeli commander or something like that, or someone, a family member of an Israeli commander, and that they're still not letting in baby formula or any pain medication. And he was operating on a little girl with her intestines outside of her without any pain medication, and that he had to make the choice between two children who both had severe injuries, and he chose the girl with the intestines that were falling out, and then they both died, and he had to bear that. That's what's actually happening in Gaza right now. They're striking camps and tents So, yeah, you're killing children, starving children, and you're selling the land and participating in an ethnic cleansing campaign. And look, in terms of a political constituency for Palestinian liberation, it's always going to come from the left. But I am still immensely grateful that there are actually still true Christians out there that may have views that I don't agree with and believe things that I don't agree with, that understand that they need to call out this administration for its complicity in these atrocities. In a moment, we are going to be speaking with Austin Kocher, friend of the show, about what's happening in ICE detention. But first, a word from some of our sponsors. You know, everybody's got a can't miss fitness training hack, but most of them don't actually move the needle. And a lot of people feel that way about hair growth products. A lot of hype. What's really going to change? Well, what has changed for, I have friends, family that use Nutrafol. What has changed is learning that it is a physician-formulated, clinically tested product and recommended by dermatologists. It's a real game plan for thinning hair. Nutrafol now offers hair growth supplements tailored to men at every age because the root cause of hair thinning changes over time, and your routine should too. Nutrafol Men for ages 18 to 49 helps improve hair growth and achieve thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months. And new Nutrafol Men Plus 50 Plus is the first and only hair growth product specifically formulated for men over 50. Sam is all about this these days, and you've seen that hairline. He's got a good hairline. I hate to compliment him, but he does. And Nutrafol is how he helps maintain that. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. You order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20% off and get added perks to support your hair growth journey. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. Start Nutrafol today and make the hat optional. Visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code TMR10 for $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TMR10. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TMR10. Link down below in the video and episode descriptions. And lastly, I love my mom very much, and I try to get her gifts that are, like, she's tough to get gifts for, actually. Because she likes to shop herself and is very particular. But what I've realized as I've gotten older is that when I get her gifts, I got to get stuff that has sentimentality. That's really what you can get that she can't get herself. And most Mother Day's gifts are about one moment, but Storyworth is about so much more. Storyworth gives your mom a year-long experience and gives your family a book filled with the stories only she can tell. Thanks to Storyworth for sponsoring The Majority Report. Save up to $20 at storyworth.com/majority. Each week, Storyworth sends her a question about her life. She responds however she wants, writing back over email or web, voice recording, or new this year, a guided phone call. There's no apps, logins, or tech hassle. So Storyworth makes it easy for her, and she can focus on the joy of remembering and reflecting. You get each story as she tells it year after year, and Storyworth compiles everything, her words, her photos, her life, into a beautiful hardcover book. New this year is Storyworth's Unlimited plan. Buy it online and you will be able to give Storyworth memoirs to friends and family all year. Plus, it comes with their newest features and multiple full-color book copies. This means that you can get all your Mother's Day gifts for your mom, grandma, and any mom figures in your life. Plus, take care of Father's Day while you're at it. I wish that I didn't get my mom Storyworth before so I could get it to her for this Mother's Day. Now I need to think of something else that's thoughtful. But she loved it. I also got it for my dad as well. It's a great gift, and it shows that you care. You can have also just like these records of your family history and your mom's experiences or your dad's experiences that you'll have forever and cherish. And she will, I think, really appreciate the thoughtfulness of it. This year, give mom a gift that helps her reflect on her life with fresh perspective and gives your whole family the gift of her stories. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Order right now and save up to $20 at storyworth.com/majority, storyworth.com/majority. Link in the video and episode descriptions and at majority.fm. Quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Austin Kocher. We are back, and we are joined by Austin Kocher, once again, friend of the show, research assistant professor at Syracuse University, who writes about America's immigration enforcement system on Substack. I would highly recommend everybody subscribe to Austin's Substack, and you can get real-time updates on detention centers, on ICE across the country. Austin, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Emma.
Of course. So ICE has now reported the 16th death of somebody in detention in the year 2026 so far. We're in the middle of April. So we know of at least 16 people who have died just this calendar year in ICE detention. This is a 49-year-old man from Mexico who died a few days ago in the Wynn Correction Center in Louisiana. Tell us about what happened.
Sure. So I first found out about Alejandro Clemente is the individual that passed away in Wynn Detention Center. Wynn in rural Louisiana is what we call the detention center alley. There's a whole lot of detention centers in that region. A lot of them are staging grounds for deporting people out of the Alexandria Airport, rural airport right there in central Louisiana. And I found out about Alejandro through a woman I've been talking to, Angela De La Valle, whose husband is in that facility and actually found out about this person first. So just imagine, your husband is inside of a facility, you're trying to get him out, and you're learning about detention deaths around him. He was almost 50 years old. He's been held in the facility for quite some time, and the official account about his death does not include a lot of information, doesn't include a lot of information about the full cause of death. And one of the things that we are learning, and we've known for a long time, but we're learning in greater depth now, is the information that is available in ICE's initial press release is sometimes inaccurate and incomplete. And when you really look at the full scope of medical records, we often find that there are all kinds of issues with, not being responsive to people's medical concerns, calling 911, but calling 911 too late, things like that. So just another tragedy that represents really, what I would characterize as systemic violence and the treatment of immigrants as disposable.
The systemic violence is important. I mean, it's important to frame it that way because I remember, and it still kind of rattles around in my brain, and I'm wondering if you can update me on it. Popular Information had a report a few months ago that basically DHS and ICE had stopped paying all medical bills in some of these facilities, which when you're warehousing these people in these conditions, it's obvious that medical issues are going to come up. That was horrifying to me in terms of what it indicates about just perhaps letting people die, letting people fall into horrible health circumstances. What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, so that report really focused on ICE's announcement that it was asking all of its medical providers, or many of its medical providers, to delay submitting reimbursements for months and months. It's not clear that all medical services were necessarily terminated. They were still being provided, but yes, there was a delay in financial reimbursement, it appears, to those contractors. And regardless of the details of that, the larger issue is simply, even medical providers who are, there, many of whom may want to do the best that they can. Once you start getting questions about whether or not the government is actually going to compensate you for your time and your effort, it does raise questions about, how seriously people are going to respond to medical issues. And one of the broader systemic things that we see is, most of these facilities, virtually all of the facilities that where people have died this year and during the Trump administration are for-profit facilities. So there is downward pressure.
Including this Wynn one, right, in Louisiana.
Absolutely. Wynn has been a private detention facility for some time. It's been a private state prison for a period of time before that, with a well-documented history of abuses, neglect, and oversight. In fact, there was an entire book written about it from a journalist who went undercover. Well, I wouldn't say undercover. They did good investigative work, actually working in the facility. And what we see is just because they're for profit, there's downward pressure on providing resources and emergency services that may be expensive to the facility. Somebody has to eat those costs, and that means that there's often delays and neglect that much of the research suggests contributes to these deaths.
Tell us a bit more about this facility in Louisiana, and perhaps you could expand a little bit more on where these facilities are located, camps or, concentration camps, where these concentration camps are located, why they're located where they are, and what these for-profit prison companies are looking for when they're trying to look for a place to warehouse these immigrants.
Sure. So when it comes to where these camps are located, and I think we are certainly moving towards that language of camps across the board, they tend to look for places where they can buy cheap land. I mean, many of these contractors, it's as important to think about them as government contractors first and immigrant, detention center operators second. They are essentially, property owners in some way. So they look for cheap land in compliant spaces where there isn't going to be local pushback, and people in those sort of sacrifice zones of rural America where people don't have access to other jobs. So they're just very often located in rural parts of the country, which makes it hard for attorneys to get to them. It makes it hard for family members to get to them. Angela, that I mentioned at the top of the conversation, at great expense to herself and her family and community, is down there near Wynn, going in, visiting her husband every single day, and trying to do everything she can to get him out, at great effort and great sacrifice. But not everybody can do that, but because it's so difficult in such rural areas. And compounding all of this, of course, is once you are in a place that is that rural, it's that much harder to get access to emergency medical care and infrastructure that could be life-saving.
When we're looking at the ICE detention death count, can we trust that these numbers are anything but immensely conservative? Is it your estimation in your research that likely these death toll numbers are higher?
They're likely higher in terms of, it depends a little bit on how we define it. So we feel pretty confident that if a death happens inside of one of the camps or while they're in ICE custody, that's a pretty hard thing to completely cover up. There's a lot of people in these facilities, somebody would know and find out. So the official number I feel pretty confident about. I think where I feel less confident and more concerned is like the individual outside of Buffalo that was released and left at a fast food restaurant or a Waffle House or something like this. There's a lot of cases of people, one, almost dying in detention for all of these issues, and somehow they survive. So that gets overlooked, that there's no report for, we almost killed someone. There's also a lot of cases of ICE releasing people. There's one case of ICE discharging someone while they were in a hospital, laying in their bed. Hey, that person's not in custody anymore. Well, now if something happens to them, they're not really part of the official death count. So the question is, how many people leave detention either with worsening conditions or possibly dying as a result of their detention, whether they're in the United States, or increasingly what we're seeing, Emma, is people after they're deported, people are landing back in their countries, Latin America, Africa, South Asia, around the world, and they have complications that potentially lead to death or near death. And again, how are we going to get record of that? It's really hard.
Yeah, and you have some examples of some of these the releases that result in death on your Substack, and some of these are just horrible stories, and people that had been discriminated against, that were subjected to, because of their deportation, violence. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that you had an example of a trans person that this happened to.
That's right. Yeah, there's a whole sort of study of post-deportation death, and it very often are minorities, people who are subject to political violence or social violence in some way, who very often they have humanitarian claims and they're denied when they are denied, and if they're denied and deported, will, face persecution and possible death back in their home countries. And, trans detainees, trans deportees are absolutely one of the most statistically vulnerable group. Obviously, it's a relatively small group in the numbers and the overall number of people detained and deported. But within that group, very high risk factor. And of course, under this administration, which is, as transphobic as we've ever seen an administration, those people are really not getting the hearing and the protection they deserve.
There was a study that you cited in one of your pieces on your site about ICE detention deaths, even prior to this administration. They're almost always preventable. So just the Trump administration is immensely callous, cruel, sadistic, and has accelerated this. But ICE detention always was deadly because of the incentives that you're talking about, the privatization and the lack of care that was care not being provided for people because it would cut into profits. Can you talk about that dynamic more broadly?
Absolutely. So there was a report a few years ago by the ACLU and some partners that showed reviewing all of the death records that they had at the time. There's the public press releases that we get from ICE. ICE is also required to report to Congress within 90 days with a more detailed report. Both of those announcements have gotten progressively shorter and have progressively less information than before. And there is also an internal investigation that's required to be done. And folks like Andrew Free, who really specializes in detention deaths, and others have been able to get copies of those reports through FOIA request, and those often give us even more information. But that previous report found that over 90% of the detention deaths that they reviewed appeared to be preventable. Someone should not die. During the Trump administration, there was an individual who died of sepsis that began with complaining about a toothache. Individual had toothache, had serious dental issues, and then it was never fully treated. So it's an example of one of those cases that nobody should die in a controlled facility of sepsis. That's highly unusual. So a lot of these cases, there's real interventions. And, there's a great update to that report that the San Francisco Chronicle did. Two reporters there did a really great investigative piece that basically updates our understanding and finds very much the same thing. As long as we have enough records to really fully review a case, medical professionals very often say, look, 911 should have been called 2 hours before then. Someone who is seizuring on the floor of a detention facility should not be laying there for an hour before they get into an ambulance. In that particular case, by the time that individual made it to a hospital, the doctors essentially decided that this person was brain dead. These are not people do not just routinely die from seizures, particularly when it's really important to remember that ICE has a legal obligation to provide care and medical services and life-giving care. These are civil detention facilities. We are holding people purely for procedural grounds. No one is doing time in these facilities. This is basically supposed to be a kind of airport waiting room of sorts, but they are so overpacked. There's so much emphasis on growing capacity rather than growing care that we're seeing people face these really serious medical issues. Some of them are coming in with medical issues and saying, hey, I have type 1 diabetes. If I don't get my medication in 72 hours, we don't know what's going to happen. Some people are showing up and either result of the conditions of arrest, maybe things that they had experienced, such as the individual who got rammed into by an ICE officer here in Maryland and is in detention, is in ICE custody now, but has not received adequate medical care. Sometimes, they're coming into detention with medical issues that aren't getting treated. So it's really a systemic failure. And one can address these problems without even, claiming to want to abolish detention altogether. It's like we have to be able to agree as a country that we can at least meet this floor of not having people die in civil facilities.
Well, isn't it likely, though, Austin, that they're attempting for some of these people, essentially torture them into giving up asylum claims or trying to force them to self-deport?
Absolutely. I mean, part of the broader goal of neglect is convince people to give up, agree to leave the country, that doesn't even do people a lot of good, Emma, because even those who are saying, yes, I'm done, I will leave, we can't go through this, even then there's no guarantee that they'll be deported. There's so many backlogs within that system itself. They're holding people there even past the point of people wanting to even just leave the country. So absolutely. I mean, I think the cruelty and the neglect is part of a strategy of convincing people to not fight, but also to send a message to other people who aren't in detention and say, leave now, or you could end up like, this person in this press release and that press release. And I can tell you, Emma, from talking to families, U.S. citizen families of immigrants who are in the country trying to pursue legal status, those families are also saying, there's wives who are saying, there's no way, we're going to figure out a way for our family to live abroad, or for our husband or wife to go back to their country or go to a different country, because one woman told me, there's no way my husband is going into a detention facility and not coming out. I'm not going to let that happen. So it's having that effect, and I do think that's part of the strategy.
Lastly, the numbers, I headlined it this morning, but it came out in terms of deportations. 2025, over 440,000 people deported, according to government data. It was like 170K in 2024. What do you make of those numbers from your analysis?
Sure. So the government's been a little bit fishy with some of their data on removals, and they've expanded the definition to try to pump up the data a little bit. Here's what I'll say. There was not a huge leap in the number of removals between the last fiscal year of the Biden administration and the first fiscal year of the Trump administration. It increased about 15%. It actually was not that big of an increase. We have already seen, however, this year, fiscal year 2026, so from October 1st to today, we have seen a substantial growth in the number of removals happening. So they are definitely trying to ramp up, and I think they're trying to do as much as they can. As long as Stephen Miller has access to the levers of power, he is going to try to do as much as possible, because he knows this is unpopular. He knows they're going to lose in the midterms, and he knows that this is not really what most people want.
Austin Kocher, everybody please check out his Substack. You can get all the up-to-date information that you need on ICE detention, on immigration enforcement. And we do have somebody writing in, and I think this is good advice, Tempe from Maryland. Anyone listening who wants to help and doesn't know how, Google your location plus immigrant support network. It's likely that support is already ongoing. If you can't find anything, do the same search with the name of the nearest large city and reach out to their leadership about forming a branch in your area. Would you say that's good advice, Austin?
Absolutely. You got to start local. And if you're interested in detention, you can go to detentionreports.com, find the nearest facility near you. And what we need you to do is document conditions, work with existing infrastructure, and try to get the word out about what's going on in these facilities.
Really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, Austin.
Thanks.
Quick break, folks, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Daniel Boguslaw. We are back, and we are joined once again by Daniel Boguslaw, investigative journalist, publisher of the Deeper States newsletter on Substack, and his latest piece in the American Prospect, co-written with James Barata, is entitled Congressional Black Caucus to Support Spying Powers Used on BLM Activists. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So your reporting has found that the Congressional Black Caucus is set to support this reauthorization of Section 702 of FISA, but a clean reauthorization, which is key here, because this is about giving kind of unchecked power to the Trump administration to surveil activists.
Yeah, I mean, it's deja vu all over again. I feel like this is the third time I've covered one of these reauthorization fights. It's the same pattern over and over and over again for the past decade and beyond that, where, they push this off to the last minute. They try to squeeze it into a really tight vote deadline. Inevitably, IC components come out and they start doing classified briefings about horrifying threats, which are then inevitably leaked to the public into news media. In this case, it was a threat posed against a Taylor Swift concert, which was allegedly thwarted using 702. Before that, 2 years ago during the reauth fight, it was the threat of Russian nuclear weapons that would be used in space against U.S. Surveillance satellites. So it's a familiar pattern where it is a very powerful authority It's used across the intelligence community, although the FBI's misuses are often the most prevalent. I believe Lauren Boebert raised this week a revelation about a NSA analyst using illegally using 702 to conduct research of someone they met on a dating app. But we also know that in 2020, 702 was used to surveil Black Lives Matter activists. And so that makes the fact that the Congressional Black Caucus is coming out in support of this clean reauthorization, which does not have any significant or meaningful reforms attached to it, all the more concerning. I know the Hill reporter from Dropsite was out there yesterday, I believe, speaking with members of the CBC, trying to confirm parts of my reporting. And I think he did. Most of them said we have to balance the threats to our nation and civil liberties, and I'm going to think long and hard. Meanwhile, the report I did showed that Gregory Meeks, one of the most powerful members of the CBC, has been lobbying.
He leads their PAC. He leads the Congressional Black Caucus Political Action Committee. Yeah,
that's right. And they were a little shakier on that explicitly. 7 hours after our story ran, Meeks got back to us with comments saying he was not the official Rules Committee whip. I think that's what he was trying to say, and was using a kind of classic Washington logic to try to wriggle out of my reporting. Saying that because he's not on the relevant committee, he couldn't be the official committee whip, which of course is not what I reported. And so it's shocking to see not only that, there's no effort to attach significant reforms to this, but that there just seem to be aligned with voting it through. Now, the head of the CBC, Yvette Clarke, did sign on to a letter in the 11th hour, kind of coming out against the clean reauth of this powers, but notably absent on that letter was the entire thrust of the CBC, and the Asian Pacific Islander Caucus and the Hispanic Caucus were both right there at the top.
Yeah, I just want to point out that there are Jamie Raskin, the ranking member on Judiciary, it wants reforms, but you have Jim Himes, who's featured in your reporting, who is the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, just to show where these powerful House members are at, who is pushing for this. He's a white guy, not a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, but he's also been essential in trying to push for this clean reauthorization. He's deeply tied with intelligence, that's where that is coming from.
Sure, but I mean, it's important to remember that everyone gets to take their little votes on the things that are going to pander to their constituents, and yet somehow year after year 702 is reauthorized. And I just think it goes to show that the IC is extremely powerful and intelligent. Every IC division has a congressional liaison whose entire job is to sort of massage the heads of the relevant committees. One piece of my story that didn't really get as much pickup as the top line is the fact that on March 26th, the staffers for the House Intelligence Committee were briefed on a ruling by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which is effectively the rubber stamp court that authorizes FISA warrants, although there's not ever really much debate, and they basically rubber stamp every request. Now, shockingly, right before they knew that this FISA reauthorization was going to come up to a vote, they created a warning, and they actually communicated to the House committee that there were serious problems with the way that query data was being filtered during the FISA process. So effectively, a rubber stamp body whose entire purpose is just green lighting warrantless surveillance found something that was so alarming that before the vote reauthorizing this power, they flagged it to the committee. Now, my reporting showed that committee then failed to relay those warnings in both classified and unclassified briefings to the rest of Democrats. So I mean, already you have these CBC members who are totally unwilling to step out of line on this, but then you also have a huge
Wait, Daniel, can we just slow down for just a second? I want to emphasize this for the audience because this is quite remarkable. So this is a FISA judge. They're normally rubber stamping everything. That is essentially saying, hey, slow down for a moment. We need to have some changes in the way that this Section 702 data is filed when they're combing through intelligence for Americans. And this information was not relayed to the relevant Democrats on purpose, it seems like, yes?
Well, it was relayed to the Democrats on the Intelligence Committee, which is its own black box.
Right,
and which
right.
maintains liaison with all of the IC components. So, at every level, there is a concealment and a secrecy, right? Like there were settings, there were unclassified settings. I mean, the New York Times ran with this information, right? So we know that there were unclassified versions of this information because it got leaked to the Times. But at every step, that was rejected. And a big part of the FISA reform movement hasn't just been adding more safeguards onto the process of going to the FISC and asking for clearance to run these queries. It's also been trying to introduce a comprehensive reform effort to limit the purchase of privately obtained data into the IC. And when I talk to current and former IC officials, 702 is sometimes a drop in the bucket compared to the fire hose of shit coming out of the app companies, coming out of your browser history. One thing I'm a little frustrated by is the fact that like I said, I think this is my third time around the FISA re-auth battle. And DC always lights up for 2 or 3 weeks. The think tanks get chugging. They put out their white papers talking about how it's bad. Do you know the easiest, fastest way to reform FISA and get Americans talking about surveillance reform? Buy the data on the House members and Senate members of the relevant intelligence committees. The reason the IC can do this is because it's an open market. And I've seen these marketplaces, okay? You can literally, with enough money and legal backing, buy anyone's data. So to any nonprofits listening in the Beltway right now who are civil liberties organizations, we're tired of seeing this fight happen over and over again and get stymied. If you really want to get politicians on board, let's buy and publish their data the same way that the IC does and show them what the risk is.
Is TMZ DC on that?
I don't know. We should
pitch them. We should pitch them, Daniel. Can you explain to people what role Section 702 played with the Black Lives Matter movement, and why it's especially egregious for the Congressional Black Caucus to be supporting it?
I mean, my understanding of the specifics is that there was a backdoor query of something like 130 activists who were arrested, and then those names were basically run through the sort of 702 bulk collection. And that's the issue, right? Is that there's all this data coming in, and then you go and you get a warrant to kind of pick through it, but it's all sitting there. And again, 702, the idea, the way it's sold and the way it's talked about is that it's, this foreign targeting non-US persons. But of course, we know over and over and over again from the violations that, emerge from the PCAOB oversight board, the intelligence oversight boards, the OIG, all these different watchdogs year after year, show that there are massive oversights, whether they're the oversights that were depicted, described by Edward Snowden of NSA analysts, flipping on people's cameras, using these vast godlike surveillance powers for their own personal gain, or whether it is, governments querying activists. And look, the reality is, I think for a lot of young people, who maybe weren't alive in the 70s, some of these surveillance issues become very abstract. They're more based on first principles maybe than the felt impact in our day-to-day lives. But the reality is we know now that switch has been flipped. If it was going and bubbling under the surface with NSPM 7 and the presidential directives that classify things like anti-capitalism, anti-Americanism, anti-Christianity as terrorist threats, we're living in a new era where the warnings that have been happening for the past 20 years around the Patriot Act are starting to really gain teeth in a highly visible way that's going to affect huge swaths of the population.
Lastly, Gregory Meeks is a name that is coming up a lot in the news recently. Ryan Grimm of Dropsite has been on top of the fact that Meeks was a part of slow walking the War Powers resolution, not pushing for a vote prior to the recess, and we've now seen what Trump has done without being curtailed in Iran. So Meeks is just really not doing the American public well right now. Can you just talk a little bit about him and wrap. I know you have to run. His role in this in particular. Just expand on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he just kind of served as the conduit, right? Of sort of, I mean, he is the ghost whip, right? He is the one taking calls. I think Dropsite's Hill guy again got someone, got a couple CBC members to say that they had conversations with Meeks in addition to Jim Himes about this. But there are multiple Meeks across. Across the Hill, whether it's, whether it's a Richie Neal-like figure on Ways and Means, who I've done a lot of reporting on. There's all types of players, or Jim Himes is another great example where, they kind of often keep a relatively low profile, but the way they maintain power is by working behind the scenes and not having that super public persona so that they can maneuver in a way that's highly effective and secretive. So, I think there's a lot of power nodes like Meeks on the Hill, and in this instance, he got caught.
Daniel Boguslaw, investigative journalist, publisher of the Deeper States newsletter on Substack, and you can read his recent piece in the American Prospect, co-written with James Barata, Congressional Black Caucus to support spying powers used on BLM activists. Daniel, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Emma.
All right, with that, we are going to wrap the first hour of this show and head into the fun half. Matt had to go.
They're dropping like flies here.
It's just me and Brian. What will we get up to? People are going to have to figure it out by going into the fun half.
Join and find out.
Yes. Let's see if we can fill an hour and a half and not talk about football or other things that we like to talk about. Brian, what's happening on Left Reckoning? Do you know? Did Matt leave you with
yesterday,
a little bit?
they had an episode with the egg commissioner of Texas.
Okay.
Which doesn't sound that juicy, but turns out he's got a lot of influence.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know there were egg commissioners.
Oh, I thought you said ag. Egg?
Maybe he said ag, and his Midwestern dialect translated to egg.
Egg. Brian's hungry.
I'm very hungry.
Egg commissioner. All right. Well, that does sound.
But apparently he's got some kind of role in the ability to fight data centers in Texas.
Okay.
And that's what the interview centers around.
All right. Check out Left Reckoning. Check out The Jacobin Show. JustCoffee.coop. Fair trade coffee and something else. You can go support it, get the Majority Report blend. They have other stuff there, but I don't remember what it is because Sam kept saying tea and chocolate, and one of those things is not on the site. So I don't remember which one it is.
There's no chocolate, right?
Okay, tea.
I don't know.
There's maybe tea. You can figure it out if you go to justcoffee.coop. And join the MajorityReport.com. Become a member. Keeps us resilient. Keeps us chugging along, especially when we're on third-party platforms that could decide to end our business tomorrow if they chose, and we're trying to goad them into it. No, not really. Please become a member. It helps us out if you can, and you can IM the show. I am bad at pitches today. What is happening?
I don't know. You're falling apart, but I'm no good backup here. I can't pitch anything.
You know what's concerning is that it's 82 degrees today in New York.
Yeah.
Our AC is already not working. It's April, and I am a little panicked. I'm worried that this is going to be a repeat of that horrible summer that many in our audience will remember. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but
it's like Radio Hanoi in here.
It's not great. All right. See you in the fun half. We are back, and what we've decided is we are doing a freebie Wednesday because Brian closed the wrong stream, which is totally fine, and don't beat yourself up over it.
I didn't know we were announcing it to everybody.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. I was doing it because I have the interest of the listeners at heart.
Oh, yes, right.
I wanted them to
right.
have free.
You're not in favor of enclosure and paywalls.
Right. I'm tearing it down from the inside.
I should have realized that. It was actually a revolutionary act and not an act of horrible incompetence.
Listen, according to the GOP, I'm still a young man.
You are.
I'm still learning.
You're still a teenager, and it's okay if you say that you're a Nazi, and you're just figuring it out.
I'm a widow baby.
But 12-year-old girls are women.
Right.
40-year-old men, little baby boys, except if you're black. 12-year-old girls, Megyn Kelly says they're fair game, basically.
I'm sure there's a chart somewhere where they've actually worked this out.
They need. I mean, they don't need a paper trail for it. It's just what conservatives believe, I think. But some guy says, we all know this, Brian. We still love you. Commie Tree, a man for the people. Rat Bretner, the satisfaction of watching J.D. Vance eat it and seeing his political ambitions vanishing before his eyes is so beautiful.
I'm wondering if Marco Rubio was like, send Vance to Islamabad. Like, make him take this failure on the face.
I think there's a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes. The fact that Rubio as the Secretary of State has been largely able to keep his hands off of this disastrous war is indicative of what that White House is really like. It's just a bunch of rats scrambling all over the place. So Ramona Frankenstein writes in about Succession. I mean, it's like those underlings under Brian Cox's character, where they're always like, "Why don't you take the fall? No, I insist. You take." That's what it's like. Ramona Frankenstein. I'm rewatching Succession, and it's effing me up how much Trump is like Logan Roy, only less effective at leadership and more likely to piss his pants. Also, can I get a shofar for Tom Wamsgans? I think he meant to say. Heard he swallowed his own load. Don't have my shofar, but in the spirit of it, yes, he gets a shofar.
Wait, a shofar for him swallowing his own load.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Ramona. I shook a mashal. What in LA? I shook Emma's hand in LA. Great. Nice to see you again. That was very difficult for me. Adelanto, California, not much there, but there is a GEO detention center. Lots of reports of people being mistreated and several deaths have been reported. Yeah, I'm... These detention centers, these camps, we are just scratching the surface of how brutal they are, I think. Future reactionary. Sorry for the long I am. I missed the top of the live show yesterday, and while catching up on Rumble as per usual, I was shocked to hear the shout out about my hometown of Festus, Missouri. Regarding the data center kerfuffle, which ousted half of the city council, only 4 of the 8 councilors were up for re-election. All 4 lost their seats, including one councilor who voted against the data center project. Wake Up Jeffco, a local group which I can't endorse due to lack of knowledge, is currently suing the city for alleged backroom dealings and skirting public comment. The latter seems to be evident from council meeting minutes. With the speed the city moved the project through, first meeting was in August 2025, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were kickbacks, bribes, or worse. I would not be shocked either.
It's a total bipartisan issue. Like, I was talking to conservative family members who want data centers stopped. Now, I assume that's more of a NIMBY point of view.
Yes.
But I mean, they're participating in their communities to stop them. Like, it is bipartisan.
It is. And there's a tracker that shows all of the different actions on that front across the country. Well, let's just get into the Trump stuff then. You want to... I'll read some IMs while you pull all that up, right? We'll just go through 4, 5, 6, 7... 4, 5, 6. Trump is increasingly unhinged. We say this pretty much every week, but it continues to accelerate. You know, he really thought and was sold by Benjamin Netanyahu that he could do what he did in Venezuela, that he could take out Maduro in the same way that he could take out the Ayatollah. I mean, obviously, the United States did kill a lot of Iranian leadership, which Trump is calling regime change, but the power is so dispersed and the government is so entrenched that, like, no, they have institutions and the regime, the entire structure is still in place. So they abandoned that as an objective. Then Trump was saying that, they can never have a nuclear weapon. Well, they weren't building one. There has been a fatwa on that since the really turn of the 21st century, but now they're more likely to pursue it because you killed the more conservative older leader that was reticent to provoke Israel or the United States, so that has failed. And gas prices are through the roof. People are getting really scared. And you have inflation data that shows that energy prices are driving this level of inflation. up 4% in March, which is the highest year-over-year gain in 3 years. So people are panicked, and Trump isn't going to show it, but he is desperate to find some sort of way to declare victory when everybody knows that he's lost. So he wants the war to be over and kind of betrays that fact in an interview with Maria Bartiromo.
I had to divert, because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
On what terms? On what terms? Because Trump is now saying we're going to blockade their blockade. But the reason that the blockade is a leverage point is because it is increasing gas prices in the West. So what deal can you make with them that isn't humiliating to the United States? They also, as we talked about yesterday in our interview, still have cards to play that the administration does not, including enlisting the Houthis in Yemen, who control a large swath of that coastline, to make sure that another checkpoint is throttled. And that could dramatically continue to increase gas prices. So what really, I think, stands in the way, there are two things that stand in the way of us hopefully putting this nightmare behind us, even though this will indelibly change the United States' relationship with the region and our trade relationships going forward. The things that are standing in the way are Trump's own ego and obviously the Israelis. If Iran wants to pursue wants to humiliate the Americans, they can do so. They already are doing so. But is it in their best interests? I'm not necessarily sure. Trump has these maximalist demands, but Iran is going to want some sort of reparations for the damage that he brags about inflicting there with his illegal offensive war, where we double tapped a girls' school and decimated much of their civilian infrastructure because, God, they may have at one point transferred material that could build a weapon over bridges, like, you know, we do in every country to transport materials. That's what Trump did. They need money to rebuild their country. So they're saying that they want to toll on the Strait of Hormuz. They also could just need sanctions relief or have their assets unfrozen. The assets being unfrozen was the hinge point for the 2015 JCPOA, which the entire Republican Party framed as us giving billions of dollars to Iran, acting like this was taxpayer money. We just unfroze their assets. That's only one of the things that Iran's going to have to get for them to agree to any kind of deal with Trump. Trump was even floating giving taxpayer money as a way to give to insurers so that they would allow for the ships to go through the strait, because insurance companies didn't want that to happen or weren't going to get behind it because of how dangerous it was. So I'm just like, Trump is trying to get back to the JCPOA, but also was literally trying to give American taxpayer money to insurance companies, in addition to the war he started, where billions of dollars was spent in a day, and we could pay for college for all and then some for people with the amount of money that we spent. So he is trying to find a way to save face, and I do hope Iran gives him that in a very shallow way, while also asserting their sovereignty and their leverage. So that is a big obstacle. And then the other obstacle, of course, is the Israelis. They are continuing to bomb Lebanon. It appears that they're not, like carpet bombing Beirut like they were when this initial ceasefire deal was announced, probably because the Americans yanked on the leash, which we can always do. We could even put them in a goddamn cage if we want to and say no more weapons, no more arms. We're invoking the Leahy Law. We're cutting this off tomorrow, showing once again that both Biden and Trump can restrain the genocidal Israelis when they want, but still they are bombing Lebanon. They're trying to derail this. And Trump has shown how pliable and susceptible he is to flattery and to manipulation. And it becomes more and more obvious as he gets older and older. Here he is talking about how we're probably going to lose the midterms, and no one can explain why, because we've been so successful. And he spoke to some people deep in the psychological world about this. You know, he's doing some real self-care. Yeah. Deep in the
Andrew, why do I lose the midterms?
Right. Can you tell me, thought leader, please? Here he is, just kind of being like, "Hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Sorry, Republicans, there's nothing that I can do differently to help us win the midterms."
Let me just ask you about the midterms. Do you expect the Republicans to lose seats in the House, and what does that mean for your agenda?
Well, I just left with Mike Johnson and some great people, some great congressmen and women, and in the Oval Office. I think we're going to do good.
And women.
Now,
oh wait, can you pause it for a sec, just because I wanted to point this out from the initial clip. You would be calling everybody sir. Yeah. You mean like you demand everyone call you?
What does she call
so
him?
Obsequiously? Right, like, does she, Mr. President or sir? Yeah. No, you wouldn't just be calling me sir, you'd be calling every man sir.
All 200 of their Hitlers over there.
Yeah. You know, that's why we bombed that girls' school. It's because we care so much about women's ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with men and not use formalities. Anyway, just...
The Oval Office. I think we're going to do good. Now, with that being said, when somebody gets elected president, that party always loses the midterms. I don't know why. I don't know why. Nobody can explain it. I ask people that are deep into the psychological world, I said, why is it that a voter votes for the opposite party? It's even when you have a good president. I think I had the greatest year, the greatest opening year. I've read the greatest. Look, I ended 8 wars. A 9th is coming. But I ended 8 wars. Nobody's ever ended 1 war. Who's ended one? Nobody.
What?
I ended 8. We have the biggest tax cuts ever. We have the biggest...
Can you pause it? Okay. Nobody has ever ended 1 war, and
Every
he's
war
ended
that's
8.
ever happened is still going.
And Trump is gonna start and end this 9th war, which he's bragging about.
Yeah, you can't count the ones you started.
To be honest, right? Exactly. Those should be the rules. Okay, bro. If you want to tally up all the wars you've ended, you can't start wars to end them. That's called stacking the rules. I know that that's the kind of thing that you do with your golf swing. You don't count it. You hide balls. You don't take...
Around a mully.
Right.
It's a mulligan.
Around a mulligan. Yeah. You know what could also explain potentially what is going to happen, hopefully, inshallah, to the Republicans in the midterms is the fact that Trump's approval rating is like one of the worst in history at this time in presidency. It's the worst in history. Like we're talking Bush 2007 levels, but he's not even halfway through his first term. That could be a part of the explanation. It's more scientific than it is psychological, so I'm not sure if he would accept the analysis, but it's more like data driven.
Not as a Ouija board?
No, I haven't looked deep into the soul of America to figure out why they hate what the Republicans are doing, but it could have something to do with the fact that the economy's falling apart. He's starting a war that he said he would never start, and we're rounding up people and throwing them into camps, and that was what this administration said was going to solve the economy, and the economy's getting worse. Right. Could be something like that.
Or just that neither party's ever delivered for a long, long time.
Right.
It's very easy to figure out. I mean, I don't have a psychology degree, but that's how I feel.
That our government is corrupted and no one likes it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big part of like the American experience right now. But I mean, he
have like 2 shitty divorced parents, and we're like switching our Christmas every year.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Inflation cuts ever. The greatest economy ever. Pretty much including the fact that I took a detour into Iran in order to stop something that could have destroyed the world.
Wait. Okay. Was it a war or is it a detour? Because he just called it a war. And something that could have destroyed the world. There is one country that has dropped nuclear weapons on civilians. It's us. It's us. I mean, what we did to Japan is unconscionable. let's like not pretend. And there are two nuclear armed powers that have offensively bombed the country that we're saying is going to build a bomb to destroy the world. Why wouldn't they build a bomb as a deterrent? Keep going.
Even when you have a great president, they tend to lose the midterms. It doesn't make sense to me, so we're going to try turning it around. You know, in 50 years, I guess the president, the party with the president, has won twice. Why that happens, I don't know. We are really working hard to turn that around. We've had the greatest year in the history of the presidency, first year, and we should be giving credit. Look at the border. So we had a border that was an open civ. You covered it better than anybody.
So is that the message to voters going
I should
into
get
the
credit.
election?
Yeah, I should get
Tried our
credit.
best.
Yeah, I think we should. Well, I think we have to bring it back to talk. We don't need help on the border. But, you know, I built over 1,000 miles of wall. We have to talk about it because we should be given credit for having taken this disaster where people were criminals were coming in from all over the world and pouring into our country. The worst thing, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. It was like an invasion. And we should be given Maria credit for it. So I'm going to be talking about it.
She looks at her notes and he tries to get her attention. Maria, hey,
My eyes are up here.
Yeah, hey, pay attention to me and call me sir.
Also, when he says he's working really hard in the midterms, I think that means what? Installing ice at voting polls?
Hey, also focusing on the ballroom because what is the midterms without a big celebration after, okay? She's trying to get him on message, like coaching him like a little child. Like, hey, and what is your message? I know you're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but what is the core of the assignment that the teacher gave to you, which is to give voters something to vote for? Oh, immigration. And then he goes off on some tangent about that.
I'm a victim. I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Give me credit. Give
Yes,
me credit.
right. Me. So what is your message? They thought that they could ride this immigration stuff because on polling it's their best issue, but Trump is now underwater on their best issue. You know why? Because turns out warehousing hundreds of thousands of people, deporting hundreds of thousands of people has not improved our economy.
And you can't separate that from the border. Like he's trying to talk about the border wall, but everybody immediately thinks of ICE shooting people in the streets when they think about that.
Yes, which is fun because sometimes pollsters will separate border enforcement and immigration in their polling.
Which is stupid because mentally nobody can do that.
Exactly. I mean, he's underwater on both, but he's slightly better from my understanding on border. So that's why he's trying to pivot there, but he's not artful enough to do it. And when you're historically unpopular on everything, and the goal that you said that immigration was that this brutal immigration crackdown was supposed to achieve isn't happening. Construction is slowing across the country. Housing in general is in really bad shape because mortgage rates are ticking up again. They were coming down slightly. You know, Trump was trying to bully the Fed about that. But what do you know when energy prices explode due to this war that you started, and inflation is
ended.
Ended
it.
And I forgot about that.
Where's my Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh my God, they need to make one for him so he'll stop.
The biggest one ever.
Yes. Right. Make it bigger than Machado's, just physically.
We doubled Obama's.
We changed the design and we allowed Barron to come up with an idea. When that doesn't happen and you're like, people aren't sadists like Stephen Miller. They don't like, for the most part, unless they're already voting for you and like are the triple Trumpers, as Jennifer Welch would say, and are still in a part of the country that approves of what he's doing. They don't want to see families getting ripped up. They don't want to see people getting shot in the street by ICE. They don't get like a hard on from that in the way that Stephen Miller does. They were sold and their racism, people's reflexive racism, it makes it easier to make this case, but they were sold that this would help their lives. It's not helping their lives. The economy is getting worse.
You don't feel safer when you go to sleep?
Don't feel safer. Don't necessarily feel safer at all. I'd be pretty afraid that Iran, if you actually think the terrorists are coming for us, I don't. But Iran would have every incentive to attack us on U.S. soil based on what we did. We killed their leader. We bombed a girls' school. Like, that doesn't make me feel safer. But even on the economy, housing construction is slowing. They can't get people to. There's no people on job sites. In addition to the interest rates ticking up, existing home sales fell to a 9-month low as we get into spring when it's supposed to be home buying season. Inflation is ticking up. All Trump cares about is the stock market. But if that AI bubble bursts, which Ed Zitron has been saying is going to happen, and all indications show that it's obviously overinflated and not worth what the stock market says. Yeah, we're going to be in real trouble here economically. And Trump's like, yeah, Americans are racist. I get it. But they're not seeing any material gains for their racism being implemented. And so the border stuff, you can say I'm focusing on the southern border and immigration enforcement all you want, bro. But when it's not tied to the economy, you're screwed. You're screwed. So one more clip from this interview that I found quite amusing. Oh, and just to point out, he did have that stat at the top of his head correct about the House, actually, in particular. He's focused on the House in that response about midterm gains. So it has only happened 2 times in the past 50 years. Bill Clinton in 1998 saw Democrats, they gained seats in the House. And then in 2002, after 9/11, Bush gained some seats in the House. And also gained Senate seats, which is the last time that has happened in 50 years, when the party in power gains seats in both the House and the Senate. So he's correct about that. But that was 9/11 nationalism. History says a different story about this approval rating, this level of activation. The Senate is in play, and he should start to maybe worry about that a little bit. He can't stay on message because he doesn't actually care about the Republicans. That's his best asset to us, is that he hates his supporters and the Republican Party just as much as we do.
Yeah. He's disgusted by anybody who doesn't have at least 2 bill.
Yeah, and he says he likes to surround himself with losers because it makes him feel better. Another wonderful, kind of insight as he deteriorates. But, we want this war to end, as we've said. What material gains are we going to get from this to make it look like not an abject surrender on Iran's own terms? Well, Trump has an idea that's going to impact you and me.
Do we still have the same relationship with Italy right now and Giorgia Meloni?
No. She's been negative. Anybody that turned us down for helping with this Iran situation, we do not have the same relationship. Just so you know, Italy gets a lot of oil from the Strait. You can call it the Strait of Hormuz or the Hormuz Strait. I said, which is better? They said, either is okay, but you can call it either one. The only thing you can't call it is the Trump Strait. They don't like that idea. By the way, speaking of that, I did a thing that people like very much, except for Mexico. I took the Gulf of Mexico. We now call it the Gulf of America. That's not bad.
And Google changed it. I know that.
And Google.
But look, did you see?
And by the way, Google was great on that.
Did you see?
By the way, Google is great on that. She tries to get him back on track again. He gets so fixated on these vanity moments,
it's
like
all self-indulgence, a grievance. That's all he understands.
It's true. I mean, and it's getting worse as he deteriorates. It's becoming a larger part of his brain.
I'm also very impressed with his ability to make every chair look like a toilet.
Oh yes. I mean, it's that dump truck lumpy orange ass. Although I'm sure he doesn't spray tan that part. God. I'd imagine the tan line differences.
If somebody is spray tanning that, they deserve all of the money.
Millions of dollars. I hope that he doesn't steal your wages like he does for almost every other worker.
He also sounds a little bit like Biden did at the end. Like, he's getting that, like...
whispery. Yeah. And trailing off. Speaking of, Biden at some event brought up some black guy on stage. He said, looked like Obama. But
he's a demon and deserves a rotten hell, Joe Biden, but it's getting into elder abuse. Like, stop putting him in public.
Exactly. I thought you were just sit on Rehoboth Beach and just
it can't be up to
decompose there, please. I mean, like, God, we can't get you tried in The Hague for committing genocide. Can you at least not subject us to seeing your fucking face? Anyway, but I do like him going after Maloney a little bit too. Like, you're not the same person anymore.
You broke my heart.
Yeah, I thought
you were beautiful.
I thought you were special. Turns out, I should have known that dye job was fake. You blonde Italian.
No such thing.
No such thing. I like my blondes natural. You see my kids, how they turned out.
But also, so when he says we have anybody who turned us down with Iran, we don't have this. That's the whole world except Israel.
Yep. Yeah.
So he said "fuck you" to everybody but Israel.
It is us and Israel against the world, baby.
Yeah, that really is that Germany, Japan thing you were talking about.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I guess Italy too.
Yes. Right. Well. Right, that's what. Yeah, Trump is upset that Italy's joining into our axis of evil this time. Yeah. They were like, we've tapped out. Okay,
we've been down this road.
We've been down this road. Please, look, we'll match you on hating immigrants and letting migrants drown in the sea. Maloney's all for that, but I don't know if we want to join the international axis of Epstein just quite yet, buddy. Well, Cold Dog says, I call her Fredo Maloney.
Yeah, exactly.
Cankles, Mick Taco Tit says, Maloney used to be a solid 8. The bestest left is Brian is our Luigi, bringing down the Majority Report monopoly from the inside. Solidarity, there you are. Suckmaster, wow, she really does have the tone of a conciliatory kindergarten teacher dealing with a child, dealing with a spacey child.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, the victimization is very childish too.
Yes. Me.
Me, the story of I. By Donald Trump. Me,
right.
I.
He's Benjamin Buttoning.
He really is.
He is. And he and George Maloney will meet in the middle. Some guy says, if American oil was nationalized, all our infrastructure and healthcare would be paid. Instead, our oil serves as a regressive tax for ordinary people to enrich the 1%. Working people fund and die in war so asset holders can acquire more assets. Yes, well said, some guy. Channel E37, obsessed with the Dow crashing at the bottom of the Fox News clip. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't see it. I closed it out.
Dollars to donuts. Unlike Trump, Brian is clearly not a doctor.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's important.
He does have a God complex, though.
I seem like a doctor because I have so many health issues, and I know more than the average person.
Some guy, the oil shock is worse than you think. Physical oil is selling for $150 a barrel. Oil futures contracts close on the 25th. Those contracts are must-take delivery agreements, which is why oil prices went negative in the beginning of 2021. Traders don't have storage to take delivery. You should buy half a beef if you have deep freeze. Traders can't ignore reality. They won't continue selling for $100 if they can get $150.
Kevin Hassett, I don't have this on the sound sheet, but he was on CNBC today, and he said, of course, people at the pump are feeling the pressure, and it's painful, but the benefits for the oil production is unbelievable. He just said that, just right out into a microphone.
These are the kinds of, like, all these Besson clips and Hassett clips are so helpful. I mean,
we have a Besson clip.
We do have a Besson clip, but I'm going to open up the phone lines for just a second while we reset here after that tour de force performance from Donald Trump. 646-257-3920 is the number. K-Day from Nebraska. He's just like the late, great Benjamin Button.
We love Benjamin.
We love Benjamin.
We love buttons.
The big red one that brings me my McDonald's. I can much more easily do Trump impressions now that he's gone so guttural. It was hard.
That one.
Yeah, but like that one I love. And 2016 Trump, when he's talking more quickly, it's more difficult.
Right. My favorite degraded Trump is when he goes high, when he's like, we never knew. We never knew. Nobody knew.
And he does the swaying. Yeah. Knees locked, torso on a swivel. The people's eyebrow. Wow, is it Thursday already? Not quite. Sam will be with us actually tomorrow, so we're switching up format a little bit this week. The Massive. I'm increasingly of the mind that Israel also used a new gun, something forgetting the exact context, but it was a tactical that people think God exploded based on earthquake monitoring and radiation levels. I never looked more into it, but it would be interesting to see if somebody can find out if this actually... You're curious, and you're of the mind that Israel used a new gun. God exploded based on an earthquake monitor? I do not know what you're talking about, dude.
I don't know what this person's talking about, but typically, like massacre style, like genocide activity, they do experiment with weaponry. I mean, we did it in World War II with napalm. Remember, that's how Howard Zinn got radicalized, because he dropped napalm on French civilians that weren't even Nazi Germans.
I couldn't understand the sentence, but if that's what you're saying, then that would make total sense. If you're talking about the how Palestinians like evaporated from some of this weaponry, that is true, and you should read The Palestine Laboratory by Anthony Lowenstein that goes into all of this, how weapons and surveillance technology has been used on the people of Gaza for decades at this point as a test. And to Brian's point, the Massive says nuke.
A gun nuke? I don't know if that exists.
No, it does not exist. You sound like Trump saying, or JD Vance saying they're going to have nuclear suicide vests.
Nuclear vests. Yeah.
All right, let's take a call here. Calling from a 202 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, is this me?
This is you.
Oh, cool. This is Noah from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Noah from St. Paul, Minnesota. What's on your mind?
Well, first and foremost, the Senate is voting on the Boundary Waters mining overturning the ban or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it pisses me off because, one, the state's been through a lot, obviously, the last few months. And they're kind of just sliding this in under the radar. I don't know if the vote's going to get delayed again. They've been kind of delaying it or whatever. And I don't get why, our politicians, I guess, in this state are kind of non-committal about it right now, like Amy Klobuchar, who is running for governor. She's been getting chased out of town halls because she's basically kind of non-committal on not selling out to this Chilean mining company.
Yeah.
And so, I think...
Well, I'm seeing Tina Smith is at the very least pushing to reject this rollback of the mining ban. And if Peggy Flanagan ends up being the senator from the other senator from Minnesota, the good news is that, Klobuchar leaving the Senate and making these decisions is a good thing if she ends up becoming governor. But she's being non-committal on it in her campaign.
Yeah, she's been having town halls around the state, and obviously people have been harassing her about her AIPAC donations, but as soon as she gets confronted, she kind of just leaves the room. It's happened a few times. It's really weird. But I just think it's like she's taking, the Democratic establishment's vote in this state for granted. She's going to win. Like, she will definitely be the governor. I think she's up by like 20 points in the polls or whatever. But my concern is, like, there is this huge progressive movement that's been happening in this state pretty much since the ICE surge started. And I've never been in a community that's been like this connected, this like aware in terms of like mutual aid and, helping your neighbors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's a huge opportunity to continue to lead the way as a state because we are a very progressive state. We have some good institutions. But I'm just concerned that, one, the fraud crap going on is going to be used as an excuse to gut all of our social programs, or a lot of them anyway. And Amy Klobuchar has been harping on the fraud stuff. So I feel like she's going to get in.
Yeah.
She's going to try and gut, certain things, and it's just going to be a waste of what could be a very progressive opportunity. But
Well, the good news is that when Tim Walz was elected, people did not think he would govern as progressively as he did. The Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, I'm forgetting exactly the acronym, but they've shown to be strong and persuasive. And perhaps that can be a similar situation with Klobuchar. It is pretty unfortunate that it seems like the field is just basically cleared for her, right?
Yeah, there's nobody, as far as I'm aware, that's running against her even. So, yeah, it's pretty much just her. But I do want to say that, too, because I've been talking with my friends, and they've made that argument that, the DFL caucus can push her left or whatever. I think she's very different than Tim Walz. Tim Walz, wasn't moderate, but he wasn't as, compromised, by basically every lobby. There's obviously AIPAC, but she's taken a ton of money from the food lobby. She voted against GMO labeling a few years ago, and she's always just kind of sold herself out to the highest bidder. And I don't know what the caucus can do about that, because I do feel like she is gonna, stick to her corporate guns, I guess.
Let's hope not. I mean, I think that everything, despite it not being necessarily ideal, that there's not more of a challenge to her. Focus, I guess, on building up the pressure campaigns and the infrastructure to, you can pressure her in the middle of the campaign, I think, but also to make sure that that endures if she ends up winning, which is likely, right?
Yeah, no, she's going to win for sure.
All right. Well, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. And I'm going to monitor this. I mean, this vote is this is about, repealing the Biden administration's ban on illegal mining in northern Minnesota. Trump administration, of course, trying to reverse it, but just so people are aware of what we've been talking about. Appreciate the call, though.
Yeah, call your senator. They're voting today. But yeah, thank you.
Yes, call your senators. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
We have the Capitol switchboard number basically in the description every single day. People can check that out, but I'm going to read it just so people have it. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. You can connect to your senator on this, but on anything, you're going to be able to connect to your member, to your House member, etc. If you have something that you want to speak to them about. So it's always good to have that number off the top of your head, or if you need it, it's always going to be in the description down below. All right, yeah, let's cover this really quickly. So last night, news broke that Zohran Mamdani was able to get Governor Kathy Hochul to agree to New York State's first ever tax on, I don't know how,
it's something French.
Pied-à-terre?
I don't know.
I've heard it before. Pied-à-terre. Why am I trying?
I can't help you with French.
Their second home's worth $5 million or more that wealthy out-of-staters have in New York. There's a lot of that in New York City.
Tax dodgers.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, but also just people that are wealthy that maybe live in California but have a $6 million apartment in New York when they come visit, or people that live in, different parts of the country. It's the budget deficit for New York City is $5.4 billion for the next fiscal year because Eric Adams kicked the can down the road and did creative accounting so that he didn't have to do his job or do anything or raise taxes on the rich or whatever, and it could go to his cronies. But Zohran is not that kind of leader. He's not going to kick the can down the road because it benefits him. He's also not going to engage in austerity, cutting services in order to fill that gap. He is going to raise taxes, and he's presented two options. He's presented the option of a 2% tax on the 33,000 millionaires in New York City that Hochul needs to agree to, or to fill that gap, a large property tax increase, which would really hurt a lot of people here in New York, but that's his last resort. He's not presenting austerity as that third option, and that is something that we should welcome. It's not a time for austerity. We are in untold levels of income and wealth inequality right now. This is the exact kind of leadership that we need. So this tax would be raise $500 million annually. That's not much for the $5.4 billion in the next fiscal year, but it's a start. It shows that she's being pressured, and this is working. We should keep this up and continue to monitor wait, here it is. Pied-à-terre rhymes with pear. Okay. Pied-à-terre. Pied-à-terres. That's what this is called. I'm glad we got that settled. But here is Zoran Mamdani on the myth of capital flight and how, I guess this is from this morning.
Yeah, this is a live stream this morning that he did with economists Gabriel Zuckman and Joseph Stiglitz. And this is, talking about the idea that, when people always say the wealthy are going to flee New York.
This is, by the way, a myth that is well established via empirical studies in nations and in states here in the United States.
Well, I'm very worried about those people who don't live here who might flee because of this new tax.
Right. Who might have to sell their $12 million third home in New York. Oh, no. Oh, Matt Speed. What's he at? 3.4. I can't understand
At this point, that's a bit.
I mean, come on, dude. All right.
Okay.
3.4. Matt was listening to this ad, but here is Zoran explaining this dynamic.
Advocacy, because what we are talking about is a recognition of the inequality that has permeated politics through the 5 boroughs of our city, through our country, through the world. I think, as you were saying, when we talk about how we are excelling, we have to also admit to a number of things. One is that New York City, we like to compare ourselves to other global cities across the world, as we should. But if we compare ourselves, for example, to Berlin and Madrid, we find, in fact, that we have 80% higher levels of inequality. If we speak honestly about the levels of inequality in this city, we know that our counterpart in that is Panama, in terms of the levels within that society. And when we look at this city and we correctly describe it as the most expensive city in the United States of America, we do so knowing that when we measure the true cost of living here, it shows that more than 5 million New Yorkers cannot afford it. 62% of New Yorkers cannot afford to live in this city. And so for all of the discussion of the imagined exodus that would take place were we to tax the wealthiest New Yorkers by the appropriate amount. I say imagined because before I was a mayor, I was a state legislator, and I was part of an effort to increase taxes on millionaires at that time. We were told the same thing then. And what we find now is that we have more millionaires today than we did at that time, even after having passed that tax. And so for all of that conversation about this imagined exodus,
that's pretty good. He's so he just rattles those off. I mean, look,
he's the best.
Yeah, we did interview him and hang out with him the other day, just very briefly, and no big deal. Said some nice stuff about the show, whatever. We're just cool like that. But no, he's just it's. I've met a lot of politicians at this point, and I think he's the most skilled politician I've ever seen. In that way, right. His ability to just
what Sam always brings up in this example, in this instance, is Massachusetts too, with their millionaires tax.
California did the same thing. The number of millionaires increased. Mm-hmm. There is no evidence for this dynamic. It's just a way to be a political coward.
Right.
And so it's important that we keep this up. If people want to, and if you're in New York, if you go to dreamfornyc.com/action, that's dreamfornyc.com/action, you can fill out a petition to ask Kathy Hochul to tax the rich, to demand it. And you can do that there. So that's a way that you can get involved and support this effort. Science is Political says, Emma, to continue to the point of capital flight, myself and my graduating class of scientists have compared cities and states we want to move to. New York City is on the list, but low-tax states like Florida are shockingly on no one's list because people are attracted to cities, culture, not tax base. Exactly.
And also, what's the point of Florida having all that money there if nobody's getting any piece of it?
Yeah, well, it's because it's for capitalists. Like, right. they push this idea because they want lower taxes for their business. But people want to live in New York and LA and San Francisco for the culture not for the tax base. And that's where the talent pool is, because like creative young people don't want to be in some soulless high rise in Miami, you know, like that's just not, it's just not the where people are at.
No, that's for people like Peter Thiel to allegedly throw their boyfriend out of.
Yes. Oh, yes. With not proven. No,
allegedly.
never.
I would never say such a thing about
Right.
Peter Thiel.
That's why those buildings are so high.
It is funny though when you're trashing Peter Thiel, it doesn't matter if it's into a microphone or not because it's all being recorded either way.
We hear you.
I got this video here of Rick Scott, speaking of Florida and New York, and he's kind of responding to how what Mom Donnie's doing is terrible for New York and great for Florida. And
I'm sure, which is hilarious because Miami is seeing an exodus right now.
Right.
But
and also just the way he describes these grocery stores and how government operates, I don't know how anybody could ever vote for him because he's such a nihilist about government. But
he's also one of the biggest fraudsters in the country. By the way, look up his the largest ever Medicaid fraud was perpetuated by him and his side of things.
I mean, what Mondami is doing is great for Florida. It's horrible for the people in New York.
Sure.
I mean, now he's going to open up a grocery store. I used to work in grocery stores. Is the government going to run a grocery store? What does the government run well? I can't think of anything the government runs well.
Then
All
get
the government
out.
does is mess up your life.
I want to.
Government's always the problem.
Government's always the problem. The government that I work for that pays my salary.
Right. They need you to believe this so that you don't ever take them seriously or try to hold them to any kind of account.
It is so boring. It is so boring to have this old Republican garbage. What, the government doesn't do anything right? How about mass deportations, you fascist freak? I thought that's what you were in part. Like, get with it.
Right.
The Republican Party isn't Bush 2005 anymore. This is exactly the talking point we'd hear. Both sides of the aisle have to recognize that liberal economics has failed. And oddly, the fucking Trump administration is further along than the Democratic Party that's trying to like do tax credits and crap like that. And Rick Scott is a relic. The right wants to use the power of the state for fascism, for war, for rounding up immigrants. Perhaps the Democrats could get to the side of where like Mamdani is like, no, the state will do things that are good for people because nobody believes this anymore. Everybody understands that the government is playing a role in their lives and needs to play a more active role because the markets are failing people. And this is the story across Western countries. So let's get hip to it and use the state for what it can be, use the state for purposes that benefit people. No one buys that anymore.
No, and if I were Joe Kernan, whoever this ghoul is on CNBC, I would just say, I agree. The government doesn't run for instance, the war in Iran. That's a mess. It's been run terribly.
Right.
Thank you, Rick. And then cut him off.
Yep. Well, I have a lot of fantasies about it if I could interview certain politicians. I mean, like, I have one of my you know how Hillary Clinton will go out there and be like, these students, like, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know the history of the Middle East. My biggest fantasy for like a question, I want to sit with her in a room and record it and go, what do you think the Nakba is? Like, I want to just go through that and see how she'd respond. That's one of my...
That's you when you're trying to fall asleep.
I literally, yeah, and it keeps me up because then I start to get excited about the hypothetical. Some people, dream about other things. That's what I think about.
All I'm doing is just replaying old arguments I had.
I know. Right. If you think about it more, it'll change the past.
Do you want to get into the feud that is rocking the nation right now?
I do, but let me just take one call and then we'll get to that.
Of course, I'm talking about Riley Gaines.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Calling from a 661 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Christian. I'm calling from Orange County, California.
Orange County, California. Christian, what is on your mind?
Well, things are getting a little interesting here in California now that Eric Swalwell's dropped out. I know that those of us, like I'm in the OCDSA, and a lot of us are really excited about, Ramsey Robinson and Butch Ware, but we kind of recognize that there really isn't a path forward there. But I think some of us are really concerned about, Katie Porter kind of taking the lead here.
Yeah.
We think we just don't want another repeat of Gavin Newsom. And I think that that's what we have to look forward to with her without as much of the slimy greaseball aspect of it. But it's the same.
Just with less
politics,
charm,
just a different body.
Less charm and worse political instincts. Yeah. She is a disaster. Like, I don't understand what the hell is going on. Her saying that farm workers getting overtime pay is a regulation that doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, Steyer's
a Republican that wears a Democrat suit.
But it's unbelievable. She cut her teeth academically as a Warrenite.
I mean, a lot of people say things to get where they want to be without necessarily holding any principles.
I know. It's just amazing. So Steyer's really the only option is basically it, right?
I think that's where we're at as well. I think the really weak sauce gubernatorial debate last night kind of helped set that in place. I mean, he's come out and said that the 5% billionaire tax isn't enough and that he wants to do more than that and close corporate tax loopholes.
Yeah.
It's more than Katie's promising on anything. And it's getting a little frustrating out here because I work with a lot of like the indivisible groups and with, to get people out in the streets out here. I helped run like the No King stuff here in Orange County. And it's getting really disheartening because there's a lot of people that are on board with Katie because she's a woman. And I understand that instinct. I understand the instinct of like men have ruined California politics, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of people are missing the forest for the trees here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it would be a huge missed opportunity if, like, Steyer should be, I would hope, the candidate that the people coalesce around. But if, I know Trump endorsed one of the Republicans, hopefully that dilutes their support enough or enough goes to that other Republican guy. It feels like this race is a total mess and there should be two Democrats in it, but it looks like that may not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't help that California is a jungle primary. It's just top two finish. There is a real possibility before Swalwell dropped out that we were going to end up with two Republicans. I think now that Swalwell has dropped out, and rest in peace, Bozo, I hope I can say that, I think there is an opportunity here for Tom Steyer to take the lead. There hasn't been a lot of messaging for Katie Porter. I don't know what's going on, if her staff hates her or what, but people aren't seeing ads for her out here.
Right.
So even if she wanted to win, she's not doing what it takes to win. So it's definitely, things are a little tense out here in California for sure.
Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. Christian, you said, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, indeed.
All right. Thanks so much. Jack from Queens, as a former Illinoisan, J.B. Pritzker has been surprisingly progressive given the fact that he's a billionaire. I don't like Steyer either, but I think a woke billionaire is the way to go. I mean, I met Steyer one time at one of these events. He's kind of an affable dork a little bit, and he was not the worst one in that 2020 primary. He gave us that wonderful moment where Warren accused Bernie of being a sexist, basically. Bernie, after the debate, went to confront her, and Steyer, do you remember, stood in the middle and said, "Hi, Bernie," and tried to introduce himself. When you interrupt at the worst possible time, they were like yelling at each other, and he interjected to say, "Hi, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you, Bernie."
I just did this to Amy Goodman when I went to her documentary screening, where she was clearly having some kind of important conversation. I misread it, and I tried to talk to her.
I did that.
Looked at me like I was a.
I did that with somebody fairly prominent, and I will tell you who it is later. And they gave me the up and down, like, bitch. And now I don't like her irrationally.
I still love Amy Goodman.
Amy Goodman could murder my family, and I'd still love her. That's not true. Okay.
I don't think it's gonna happen, so I think you're all right.
You still want to put it out in the universe?
This is the War and Peace Report. Just reporting, I slaughtered the entire Vigeland family. And our guest to talk about it today is Emma Vigeland.
Well, At least I would have gotten on Democracy Now. The air conditioning not working is already making me go insane. Okay. You want to do Riley Gaines?
Oh, we don't have to. I mean,
we brought it over from yesterday. Why don't we? So, Riley Gaines really threw herself into her career of transphobia after having to suffer the indignity of tying for 5th place with a trans woman. God forbid. The conservative movement welcomed her with open arms. Hey, you're blonde, you're cis, you hate trans people. We'll use you for our propaganda. But she's also a Christian. She has some principles that aren't just complete obsessive bigotry. She cares about Jesus Christ. So Trump, when he posted himself, portraying himself as Jesus Christ, a doctor, actually a doctor, Dr. Jesus, Riley offered some tepid criticism. Why? Seriously, I cannot understand why he posted. It's so out of character. That's not what she said. Why? Seriously, I can't understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? Either way, two things are true. A little humility would serve him well. God should not be mocked.
Well, I'm God, and you just mocked me.
Trump goes, fuck you.
Not hot, don't care.
Yeah. You've outlived your usefulness. CBS News reports, President Trump says he's not a big fan of conservative activists and swimmer. And by the way, they should say former swimmer. Like,
yeah, I can swim too.
Me
At this
too.
point, we're all swimmers.
Yes. And human woman,
Right.
Riley Gaines, who campaigns against the participation of trans women in women's sports. I don't listen to Riley Gaines. I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually. She said God should not be mocked.
I'm mad God.
Riley responded, this has got to break her heart.
Yeah, well, she knows where her bread is buttered.
I love the president. I'm so grateful he's in the Oval Office. Of course, I'll continue to support him in the America First agenda. At the end of the day, I do nothing for the approval of man. Well, good luck, sweetie.
I believe she means like human man, not like.
No, I get
Because
it.
everything she does is for the
the approval of
men.
men. Yeah. I like, she just becomes like completely intersectional feminist.
Shaves her head.
Yeah. I don't do anything for the male gaze.
That'd be a great arc for her.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I do nothing for the approval of man. Our purpose on this earth is to glorify him, and all we do, the True Social Post, miss the mark. Didn't some other cowardly Republican say that?
All of them, you mean?
Yeah. It is now, the ones that are still in office. Marjorie Taylor Greene can puff up her chest outside on cable news, but it is now deleted. Amazing. We're imperfect people. I know I am. I don't get my feelings hurt easily, dummy. And I know with the president, it's really not personal. I want to spend eternity in a real place called heaven. I'd love for Trump to be there too.
Maybe you can ask him to stop blowing children up.
Yeah, I got news for you. The pedophile, rapist, war criminal that has now ripped off millions and millions of people is not getting into heaven, I gotta say. If it exists, which it doesn't.
I'm going to try to pull up the 10 Commandments and see how many off the top of our head we can see.
You
that he's
have to.
violated.
You should. I will just wrap up her post as you pull it up. We don't need to put it on screen. She says, I'd love for Trump to be there too. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I'll keep doing my part by speaking truth and doing my best to lead others to Christ. And no, I won't be selling merch with his insults on them. Ha ha ha. And the top reply is Kyle Kulinski. Cock. I like that you pulled up an eBay version of the 10 Commandments.
Well, it was in my cart already.
Okay.
Thou shalt not have no other. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Let's put this up. Let's put this up so people can read along.
So I
Okay.
would say that the Christ depiction violates that.
Yes. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
I think that actually that post knocks out 1 and 2.
I would agree. I'm not like I don't really know what graven means though. Oh, graven in the Bible. Carved, sculpted, or fashioned idol made from wood, stone, or metal to represent a deity for
used
worship.
AI, so
yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm still in heaven.
Sorry, Riley.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Okay, well, hopefully Trump has never said Jesus Christ or Jesus fucking Christ.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Absolutely not.
Yeah, honor thy mother and thy father, or thy father and thy mother. Okay.
He's so far he's okay. Thou shalt not kill. Tough.
Tough. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Even tougher.
Thou shalt not steal.
Whoa. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Good news. I own my own golf course.
Yeah, wasn't Epstein his neighbor?
Yeah.
He threw that jerk out.
Did he bear false witness? It would be funny that if that's what doesn't get him into heaven is that he betrayed his neighbor Jeffrey Epstein. Thou shalt not covet. Well, he's.
Oh my God. Hi, Dana.
Remember that lunch? You're looking so good. Cold dog. Obviously, thou should not kill is on there too, which is what he's violated many times at this point. Yes.
You think he's killed more people than he's adulterated with?
I think he has because he's killed many people. And COVID, you got to count in there too. I think.
Right. Yeah. But he's killed what? Like he's. I mean, if you count Gaza to his total.
Yeah.
Which I would.
Yes.
So he's in the hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And I mean, the drug boats and Iran, the girls' schools. So we're in the thousands. Like, yeah.
It's a tough bargain.
Yeah. I mean, conservatively tens of thousands, but it's hundreds of thousands.
Sorry, Riley. You're not going to
Yeah,
get to dance in the clouds forever with Donald Trump.
Dance with the father. Right? What's that? That yes. She won't be able to dance with him in heaven. That was Barry White. Dance with my father. That's a corny song.
Following your segues here, you said Barry White, which white in German is Weiss, and I have a free press thing in here that's very funny. I don't know. Have you seen the Olivia Reingold?
Really good producing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw them pose outside some sort of billboard, but I haven't seen Olivia Reingold because someone this mentally ill kind of makes me sad. Like I
Sure, but also.
But fine,
let's just do our job.
I have to put my personal feelings aside and just do the task at hand, discrediting this freak. Here she is.
Hold on. I need one quick second because this is hard to.
Okay, well, I will read this IM that I was about to start laughing at. Meg MCA, you can't spell deity without DEI. It's okay. Olivia Reingold. On the streets of New York, not being rounded up by the Mamdani administration yet, obviously, for because of all of the anti-Semitism. But
Okay, so this was filmed in Times Square, and I think we're good now.
Everyone's favorite part of New York. Oh my God. Okay, maybe we can turn this down because Legacy Media.
I didn't get a strike. I didn't expect that music.
Okay, well.
So what it is her in front of a free press billboard in Times Square. You know, that independent media publication, Free Press. That
was able to, I guess, really get so many subscribers to this glorified blog that they got a big billboard. Oh, look at all these beautiful people.
Well, we know who owns the Free Press, right? CBS Paramount.
CBS Paramount, yes.
And so she yells into the camera here, "Read it and weep, Legacy Media."
God. Well, I mean, honestly, this is a kind of a bit of a trend where, okay. Girl.
Read it, weep, Legacy Media.
Girl. Wait, did she go to the Kirsten Cinema's fashion school?
Oh my God, she did. She went, the fashion school of oversized glasses. Yeah.
And bright neon zebra colors.
She is dressed like
She's dressed like Kirsten Sinema.
That's wild.
Yeah. I forget what I was about to say, but no, but this is about it. Like, there is a larger trend where people are claiming to be independent media, and it's like, I don't think that you are independent.
Right. What does that mean?
It doesn't
if you're owned by Paramount.
Yes.
The company that owns TikTok.
Yeah.
CBS, probably soon to own, like, what, Netflix, CNN?
Yes. Yes.
Wait, they're merging with Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not legacy media.
They're almost like, they're close to being the only media outlet.
Yes. Majority Report Peace Prize. Why does Riley Gaines hate doctors so much? Some guy, you get to heaven or hell when your life flashes before your eyes at death. It's not a place you go. It's your place in history, and you hold it forever in that moment, or whatever. I don't read. I heard that somewhere. It's a little philosophical for today, but I then.
Is that the person who was deep in the psychological world that
Trump's consulting?
Sought counsel from?
Spaghetti brains. Bearing false witness means to accuse someone of a crime you have no proof of, but the birther movement probably doesn't count, right? Yeah. Jake from Minneapolis. Do y'all think when the Church of Trump America takes over, communion will be a bite of a Big Mac or a sip of a Diet Coke?
Well, it's both. You get the wine and the communion.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. The body and the
His
blood.
nasty sausage fingers pushing a hamburger into your mouth. Ugh.
I mean, everybody in Trump's like church is gonna just immediately get diabetes or something like that. You get baptized in Diet Coke as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere. I mean, he does cover Canada. I'm not sure what that. Covet. Sorry, Covet.
And Greenland.
Carl Dem Sock. My wife said she heard Caroline Leavitt say something about the Trump Jesus image being doctored to make it look like Trump shared it, and thus my wife thinks someone probably told Trump to say that it was, but forgot the specifics, just remembered the word doctor and went with it. It was him as a doctor admitting he posted it instead.
That's a good theory, actually.
I 100% believe this
That's how he
happened.
takes in information.
Yes.
Blah, 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 doctor, blah, blah. It's like my dog, when if I say hungry.
Right, or treat.
Yeah, she thinks dinner's coming. Blah, 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 hungry.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. I love it. Let's go. Get me on camera.
So, sucking off the system. I love how Emma is making Riley Gaines sound like a lovesick anime girl. Yeah. It's just so pathetic. Monopsonist. Hassan Piker ally advocates for murder of her own family. Lesbian loves Emma Jordy says Emma's most nasty fantasy being justice. It's not. I have violent fantasies about certain war criminals that are still alive that I won't talk about here. That I've talked
you
about.
You don't want
off.
to talk about taking that hot sauce in Hillary Clinton's purse and dumping it in her eyes?
Not her right now. There's some other people currently leading nations that I have, hot sauce can go other places.
That Italian trader you're talking about? Who wouldn't open the straight with us?
Won't open her legs, won't open the straight.
That's why I hate the Pope so much.
Total cock block.
Cock blocked me.
The Pope cock blocked Trump.
All that anti-war talk really ruined our chemistry.
Yeah, total buzzkill. You gotta bring up my war crimes. I was just getting good. I'm so glad that this episode's not paywalled.
I know.
Everyone gets to see whatever the fuck we're doing today.
There's some vitamins hidden in here.
I agree with you. I agree. Maybe we'll do this Besson clip because this is pretty insane. What number is this? This is 14. Okay. Here is Scott Bessent, or as Trump likes to use the kind of francophile.
Trump, you mean Sam?
Bessent. Oh, Trump. Sam.
Sam.
Sam. Sam. It's not Trump. Sam likes to call him Basant, like croissant. But
so much so that I thought that was just what it was.
I
Because
think
when I
it's
first
Besant.
started here, I was just like, everything must be true.
I of course, I can't remember how you actually pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's not Basant. Yeah. So Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, also hardworking farmer. If you'll recall, that's what he claimed, because he owns property that he leases to farmers, that he himself is a farmer and is really feeling the pain of the tariffs and also the war in Iran and stuff like that. He's there to relate to the every person. And you may have heard about the term food deserts, perhaps in the context of Zoran Mamdani trying to put a city-owned grocery store in every borough and areas where there aren't grocery stores, because food deserts are places where private corporations do not have done a cost analysis, and they realize that they would lose money if they put a grocery store in this really impoverished area. This impacts rural communities, but it's also urban, densely populated urban areas as well, which is of course what Zoran's addressing here in New York City. And it's really difficult for people that are disabled, and especially if you're poorer, to have the time off or the ability to go find food, food that is affordable as well, because this also enables some of these for-profit companies to keep their prices very high. But they've tried city-owned grocery stores in other areas. There's one in Atlanta. That's not led by the communist Zoran Mamdani. There is one in Atlanta, because this is a real problem that markets cannot solve. Scott Bessent has an idea for not food deserts, but financial service deserts.
We're all familiar when we talk about nutrition with food deserts. This idea that families don't have good food alternatives. Well, like I've coined the phrase financial service desert, because they talked about it. I think Brad Gerstner brought it up at the launch of the Trump accounts. Many of these families, 38% of families in America, have no exposure to our great equities market, the innovation, what we all take for granted. I think that by opening this account, you are, in a way, it is financial nutrition for these families. And they're going to have this account open that an extra $20 can be put in at any time, that birthday gifts. Here's a teddy bear, here's $10 too, and it'll compound over time.
My kids would appreciate the money.
So yeah, your kids will appreciate it, I'm sure. I'm a wealthy woman at the CNBC Invest in America forum. So you dumbass, it's not, people don't have a scarcity of places to put their money. You could start an E-Trade account if you want from the privacy of your own home for no money. The problem is they don't have the money to put in the account. That's the problem. Right. It's not that these Trump accounts are changing the world. They could start their own savings if they chose to without the Trump branding on it. That's not a financial services desert. That's a people don't have any money desert situation. And in those financial services deserts, which is like, if he was a leftist, he'd be talking about how a lot of firms don't discriminate against poorer, banks discriminate against poorer people. And
bringing back postal banking.
Yeah, well, you should have this is the argument for postal banking. But in actual financial service deserts, where there are people that are kind of not able to create traditional bank accounts, or get loans at interest rates that aren't entirely predatory, you actually do see payday lenders and loan sharks that crop up in those areas that take advantage of those people's financial precarity. But that would be a logical argument about financial services deserts. That would be actually looking at the reality. He's truly trying to claim that people don't have a place to put their money, and that's the real problem.
I mean, I bet he has that problem.
Yeah. Well, he's like, I don't know what to do with all of this.
I started burying it.
Yes,
burning
for fun.
it for warmth.
Right. That's. I mean, it's so that they've got to really kind of put these clips together from the midterms. I mean, this guy is like the most out of touch, stick up his ass rich guy you could think of.
I mean, and the smile on his face when he says,
I've come up with this term.
Financial service deserts.
It's unbelievable. All right, let's take one more call here. Calling from a 937 area code. Who's this? Where you calling from? 937.
Hi, this is Layla. I am calling from the D.C. area.
Layla from the D.C. area, you are the final caller of the day.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, I'm glad I got a chance to bring this up. I wanted to remind everyone that today is the vote in the Senate for Bernie's JRDs to stop weapons sales to Israel. Well, some specific weapons. So I think it's really important that everyone calls their senators and tells them to vote in support of these JRDs.
I think so too. That's a great reminder. I headlined it, but that's a call to action for folks. So the congressional switchboard number is 202-224-3121. As Layla says, you should call your senators because they are currently considering Bernie Sanders' bill to block a shipment of weapons and bulldozers to Israel, $450 million worth of it. Now, it's a long shot, but either way, you want to have a vote where you can get your senator on record, so you know. And we can also still build on this. If the vote fails, which it almost certainly will, then you can hold your senator to account for future votes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, each time these come up, if we can get just a couple more senators on there each time, that's a small win that we can use to pressure other senators to join the next round. And I wanted to thank you, Emma, and Majority Report for always looping things back and connecting it to Zionism and the plight of the Palestinians. So thank you for that, and love listening to the show.
I really appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay. DSA newbie, military commissaries are the same ideas as state-run stores. Yes. No Sleep Till says, will Bernie's bill also block defensive bulldozers? No, it's a funny joke, but it is it's about a specific shipment. Rory in Minnesota, this is a pro-killing podcast, and by that we mean Emma is pro-killing her entire family as long as it's done by the right person. She'd be gentle.
They would be doing something wrong in order for that situation to happen, because it would be righteous.
They would deserve it.
That's the only way she's doing that.
I hope no. My family does not see this clip. I'm sorry. No, it's my fault. It's comedy. Some guy says, best episode ever. Appreciate that.
The only person who can stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. An Amy Goodman.
This is gonna supersede you. We're not here for this, but my husband came up with like some bit at home where she was a pirate called Pirate Amy Goodman, just go like arg. Democracy. He had something where he was like the piracy report. It was a whole thing, and I repeated it on air, and people liked it. So there you go. But I think her now being a mass murderer might supersede that. General Kane, Brian, I know we said we would let you retire in peace, but your country needs you. The U.S. military was not built for sustained military operations. We need you back to teach us how to effectively procrastinate while making your superior officers believe you're performing a task. Please, Brian, you're the best we've had at this in 40 years. You could effectively bring peace to the Middle East by teaching your skills to the next generation. Yeah, where's your sense of patriotic duty, buddy?
Well, I hate to say this, but I think it's federally illegal for me to rejoin the military. So there's nothing I could do.
Because they kicked you out, right?
Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Honorably.
Honorably.
I still get my benefits, which Sam hates.
He says stolen valor. All right. Well, let's do one more here. I mean,
we've got so we can go two routes. What do you think, 11 or 15? I mean, 16. They're very different paths.
We can do very different paths.
One is actually important, and one is just funny.
Okay. I have is 12 the funny one? Wait.
No, 11.
11. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So...
11.
All right.
Tom Homan is back in front of a camera. This is what happens when you fire Kristi Noem. I mean, look, she deserved it. Whatever is going on with that like slush fund corruption thing was very shady, and now she's ambassador to the Shield of Americas. For all we know, she could be in some dungeon with the man in the iron mask thing on her, and we just like, I mean, she might as well be.
Right.
She might as well be in some sort of like prison because Trump has basically excommunicated her.
Well, to be fair to her, she has asked for privacy and prayers in this moment. So
Right.
I don't know if we should be so unfair to her.
I mean, of course she leaked that crap because she would if she didn't leak that her husband likes to cross-dress and have big fake tits, which like all power to him. It seemed quite clear they had an arrangement. Then he stayed in South Dakota and she went to live with Corey Lewandowski in DC. But she did not. When she was like, please pray for us. Girl, if you didn't leak that, you would have been denying it. Of course, right? So she's insane, and I guess Homan being in the public eye is a little bit less fun, just because you can't understand what he's saying half the time. But here he is. He's asked as a lifelong Catholic about, Trump waging war against the Pope because he's
soft
on crime and nuclear weapons, and also immigration. Homan responds as with his suggestions about what the Pope should do. I'm sure the Pope is listening.
I'm a lifelong Catholic, baptized, First Communion, confirmation. I love the Catholic Church. I just wish they stick to fixing the church because there's issues. I know because I'm a member, and stay out of politics. I mean, I watched the Cardinals get interviewed in 60 Minutes. They don't understand. They think the Trump policy is inhumane and ICE is a rogue agency. President Trump has illegal immigration down 97%. When 97% less people are coming, how many women aren't being raped making that journey by the cartels? How many women and children aren't being sexed?
Aren't you listening, Pope?
How many people aren't dying making that journey? Over 4,000 died during the Biden administration, historic record. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl, historic record. Secure border saves lives. A secure border is the most humane thing we can do. With an open border, the most vulnerable people in the world are going to give their life savings to the cartels, make that dangerous journey. I wish they sit down with me and hear my experiences.
The Vatican? The Cardinals. Yeah.
Maybe they understand why a secure border saves lives. A secure border is the most humane thing this country can do.
I promise you they won't understand you.
Yeah. The Cardinals are like,
The Pope speaks like 8 languages. He'd be like, what the hell are you saying?
Women raped by the Super.
Like, I can hear God way more clearly than I can hear this marble-mouthed moron in front of me. I wish the Cardinals would sit down with me and sort of 60 minutes.
Let's make that happen. Let's have you fly out to the Vatican, sit down at a table with them, and show them pictures of whatever you're talking about.
I mean, people were joking that the Pope should excommunicate J.D. Vance, and that would be really funny. But it's almost funnier if you're Tom Homan and you're a lifelong Catholic and grew up that way, because it would trigger so much Catholic guilt that J.D. Vance is unburdened from. He just joined later on. This would be like really, really deep stuff that could potentially unravel him mentally. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. So Homan is joining in on complaining that the Pope is mean. Soft on crime, is upset when, all of these people die in ICE detention because we deny them medical care, and the concentration camps and the genocide and the war in Iran where we killed 160 girls and all of that. Just shut the hell up about that, Pope. We, the Trump administration, have the moral clarity here.
Right. And I think the idea of, I was baptized, First Communion, and confirmed Catholic. I think the idea of a pope is stupid. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But the idea that if you do believe that horseshit, that you think the pope cares about borders at all is insane.
Yeah. Right. I don't think that there is a border wall in heaven. I know that that might disappoint Riley Gaines, but like I don't think so. I think that yeah, we when we talked to our author Rana, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting his exact last name, but Dasgupta. Yes, thank you. His book about nation states, like
After Nations.
Yeah, they were only. I mean, I should on. It's such a that was Rana Dasgupta. After Nations. People should really check out that book. That there were only 50 nation states in 1900, and then now there's like, you know, something like 160. I'm remembering off the top of my head, but like the idea of this natural border and the militarized border, it's a fairly new invention. And the idea that the Pope would be concerned about that at all is just hilarious to me. But like, where did these guys get? I mean, when I was growing up, you know, my best childhood friend is Catholic, and her parents were very religious, and I know now, you know, that they've supported Trump. And I mean, I just wonder at what point that shifts. Like, I understand that like culturally,
It's just abortion for them.
I know, I get it, but man, really?
It really is. It's just that simple.
But like, authority is supposed to be everything in the Catholic Church, and they're talking about how the Pope is too woke and dumb, and the cardinals also apparently are woke and dumb.
Right.
Aren't you guys supposed to respect authority? I thought that was really like drilled into you sometimes physically.
Right. I don't know. I can't. The Catholics, I don't understand, and but the Protestants, I know that they're big on the flawed martyr.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't get why the Catholics stand behind him. I really do think it's as simple as abortion. I don't think there's anything else to it.
I guess that's it. All right, guys, gonna hang up the phone. Sorry, no more time for calls. Read some IMs and get out of here. Don Diaper, ICE is keeping heaven safe and secure for the holy whites.
Oh, somebody did bring up in the comments that there is a border in heaven. It's called the pearly gates.
Oh, okay.
It's a good point.
It's a good point. It kind of undercut my joke, but that's all right. Verbonia, I understand the AC is broken in the studio, but are you guys sure there isn't a gas leak in there or something? No, it's just Brian and I.
Right. It's the dynamic.
That's our dynamic, yes. Cat, like, son of Sam, Amy Goodman. Rory, Minnesota. This episode is second only to Brian saying people can fuck his dead body.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Jack in Minnesota. We need to have a Brian and Emma after-hour show once a month.
I don't think Emma needs anything else on her plate.
No, well, I mean, we can kick Matt out once and then just shit talk him the whole time.
All his book reading.
Yeah, so literate. Makes us feel bad.
Words I don't understand.
Yeah,
make my head hurt.
Yeah. Why don't you be a little less smart, you stupid piece of shit. Spaghetti Brains. Bearing false witness means... Oh, I read that. Leftist Big Pharma plug. Luther Vandross singing Dance with My Father, Emma. Oh my god. Oh, who say?
It's a Barry White, but Luther Vandross. I don't know. I don't know who sings it, but it got us to Olivia Runglet.
Okay, well, I don't know the race of either of them, so I don't know if that was I confused two people and that's what people are saying.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah, I think that's what the IMer was implying. I don't know the difference. They both sing in low tones.
Ironically, Barry White is black.
Is Luther Vandross black?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It can't be racist if I didn't know that. Flashing Dominoes, Brian deserves a raise for that transition. Dr. Chrislam, I love how Emma hits the dumbass like Red Foreman. I don't know who that is. El Knipsion, Emma can't make fun of anything. Spaghetti Brains. The hot sun rises over a desolate vista. A tumbleweed of crumpled dollars rolls past. The wishing well overflows with coins. A dusty miner sits on a pile of gold bars. A single tear running down his cheek. With no place to put your money, it's become a financial desert. All right, 5 more. Cruising with Benny, one of the bishops. Can someone give this guy a cab bag and tell him to get the fuck out of here? Right. Frater 12. It's got to tarnish your crusader fantasies when the Pope calls you an asshole. Molotov Burrito. My Catholic college roommates were really upset when the former Pope said the church is welcoming to the gays. Pope's love only goes so far as it protects their fragile egos. Ramona Frankenstein. Emma, do not ask Brian about what he thinks Amy Goodman should do after she kills your family.
I would only make those comments about my body.
And the final I am of the day. Thames Darwin. I'm writing to recommend that you have a guest, Lucia Simonelli, who's running against the establishment Dem in my district, and Mindy's PA01, Mindy, a longtime listener, winner of the primary on May 19th. It goes up against moderate, in quotes, Brian Fitzpatrick. Lucia is taking no corporate PAC or APAC money, had a background in climate science, etc. Sent you an email over the weekend to majority reporters. All right, we will flag that.
What district is that? What state?
PA01.
Oh, okay.
So we'll check that out, folks. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Sam will be back tomorrow, and Majority Thursday is going to become more like what Wednesday was, but we had to move some things around. We will see you then.